Something along the lines of food, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Ended at a university that offered a drug and alcohol-free place for meditation and consciousness. I came here to study renewable energy, like Lewis mentioned, and I studied sustainable living and renewable energy for 3 years and graduated in 2012, and I wanted to develop my coherence in my world, in my life, in my brain, so that I could face the challenges of the world and become a successful entrepreneur. So I came here in Fairfield in 2010, like I said, and then I started investing, basically. I started investing for, everyone knows about the stock market, right? We're all familiar with what Wall Street and the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and you've heard of Warren Buffett and maybe a few other famous names. Herbalife, where's Art? You have a stock for Herbalife, you know, your company Herbalife has a stock ticker. So I got fascinated with investing. To give an example of one successful trade that really, to get in the mindset of a day trader, someone who trades the stock market every day, you wake up, you look at your screen, you look for any activity on the stock market, and you kind of have this constant anxiety. But basically, you're there and you're looking at your screen and you're hoping to make some money, you know. So one day I took $1,000 and I invested it in this Netflix stock, which is it's a put, it's an option put, and three $300 option puts, and each put was at the time worth $300, and then 30 minutes later they were worth $500. So I made, or no, $700. So I made $800 in 30 minutes, and I was like, this is what I want to do. You know, this is exciting. And I was also like, is this real? You know, this is fantastic, but is it something I can do every day? And the answer is no, because the conditions of the market are always changing. So I came and I started, you know, I came to the next conclusion that entrepreneurs and investors hang out together. So an entrepreneur is somebody who starts a small business, you know, wants to provide a skill of some sort to the world. An investor is someone who wants to change the world. So yeah, Warren Buffett, another guy, you've all heard of 5 Hour Energy, right? That little drink, a little tasty gas station drink that gives you a lot of caffeine. That drink, the guy who started that drink, his name is, I think it's Marja Bhargava. Forgive me if I'm pronouncing his name wrong, but he gave all of his profits to water, to helping people get water in, you know, other countries, and to power generation with a bike, like a bike-powered power generator. So he made millions, and he also gave back millions. So I was thinking, this is it. I want to be a philanthropist investor. So yeah, how many of you here tonight feel like you have a skill or a talent that you could, if you had investments in yourself, you could actually start a business, start a career, invest in yourself, so that you could take that skill and apply it to this community, to Fairfield, to the city. So, is it a rhetorical question or a real question? Yeah, we all have skills. So that's what I thought too. I thought, I have a skill. I'm going to buy a pickup truck. I'm going to start moving people. I'm going to start doing this. And I bought a truck, and it was the best investment that I made in the past 2 years. I've had 70 to 90 jobs of various types of work, and they've all, I'd say I've made back more than I invested in terms of the economic investment, but yeah, mostly it's just been a great value to myself and to others, and it's a small business idea that I felt like if you invest in something that you want, that you are passionate about, that you enjoy, and that you can help others, you should do it. You should invest in yourself. I don't know what's my time looking like? 5. Okay, 5 to 7. Great. All right. So
your speech is 6 to 8.
6 to 8. Okay, cool. All right. So the title of my speech is "Invest in You." You know, you could be an aspiring writer. You could be in whatever you are, whatever your skills are. If you do it every day, if you do something that you love every day, and vote for that in your life. Vote for that type of, you know, your investment in yourself. I'm saying that it's quite possible to make a difference in your life. It's not this far-fetched thing that a small business, you know, most people say small businesses fail in 5 years. Or that's the cutoff time. If you make it past 5 years, then you're good. I'm in my budding stages still. 11 months is pretty new. It's pretty fresh. Some of the infant stages of my business, but 11 months, it feels like a lot, but 5 years will be a definitely solid test of my determination. Yeah, people like Warren Buffett, right? He has $1 billion ready for somebody right now. He wants technology to bring world peace and prevent crime. So he said he's willing to spend $1 billion if that could happen. So if any of you out there have some sort of idea, you know, that $1 billion could be yours. And he, you know, it's not just about the money. It's about, sure, he has $56 billion. He's a great investor. He's made billions over 50 years. But why was he successful? Not because of the money. And like the quote says, the quote of the meeting, right? Be thankful with what you have, you'll end up having more. If you concentrate on what you don't have, you'll never have enough. So he never concentrated on the lack, the absence of money. He concentrated on value, right? So valuing a company. That was Warren Buffett's main claim to fame. Find a company that's valuable. So I guess I have a little bit of time here. Just get so I got like 1 minute. So on the stock investment thing, if you're still ears, I haven't lost you yet. How many of you are interested in solar energy? All right, everybody, sweet. So there's a company called Rate and Solar. It's a great investment opportunity. I'm not a financial advisor, and yet the company has some great ideas about. They have a $7 million offering right now, and they promise to make particle accelerator solar production possible. So look it up in your spare time. And again, invest in yourself. And it's the most priceless asset we have, ourselves. And that means sometimes taking a loan, getting started, and just making it happen. Thank you, Toastmasters.
Thank you, Connor. There's your inspiration, John.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, invest in yourself. Mr. Timer, please set off 2 minutes for us to fill out our comment sheets for our next evaluator and our next speaker. I don't believe anyone could describe either of them as taciturn. I'd like to invite Leslie Hollis to come up and read the objectives for Miranda. Please welcome Leslie.
Fellow Toastmasters, guests, viewers at home, I'm here to be the evaluator for Miranda Gothard. Miranda has entertained us in the past here at Toastmasters with participating in some table topics, but tonight is her first official Toastmaster speech as she is a new member. Her speech is the icebreaker speech. The objectives are to begin speaking before an audience and to discover speaking skills that she may already have and skills that may need some attention. This speech is 4 to 6 minutes. Please welcome Miranda Gothard.
Greetings, Toastmasters, honored guests, and viewers at home. The title of my speech
I say with full respect, is the day I chose to go blind. I was born and raised in a small city called Lockport, Illinois. It's a southwest suburb of Chicago. My mother purchased our home at the end of my first grade year. At 7 years old, my mother asked me, Miranda, can you run out to the car? Can you bring something in for me? And I remember walking along our gravel driveway, scared of the dark, scared of things that I couldn't see. And it was the first time that I heard that small, still voice. Some of you will call it the Holy Spirit, some will call it your astral self. But that voice said to me, Miranda, look up. And it was the first time that I really saw the celestial heavens. I became a stargazer that day because the stars showed me that we're not alone. And there is no reason to be afraid because what makes us is the same thing that makes everything, including the stars. I graduated from high school and went to Western Illinois University. And after my first year of school, I took the summer off and chose to stay in town, to stay at the university. And I wake up one morning and that small, still voice came back to me. It said, Miranda, in 10 years, you're going to Samoa. What? At 20 years old, I couldn't have found Samoa on a map. I knew the Rock, Dwayne Johnson, and Girl Scout cookies. That's it. So, 8 years and 10 months later, and I wake up, and I've just yelled myself awake, and I rush to the back of the airplane. And I say, oh, flight attendant, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to yell. I must have yelled in my sleep. I hope I didn't disturb anyone. And the flight attendant says, I didn't hear anything. We're landing in a few minutes. Welcome, Palangi. I was on my way to Samoa. Now, you could say it was a well-crafted resume or some gently pulled strings, but in my heart, how does a small-town girl end up in the South Pacific on a wing and a prayer? On a wing and a prayer. This past summer, on July 10th, I had come back to the States. I had been living in the West Side Chicago for a few months. And again, I'm crying out to the stars. Stars, where is my love? Where is love? You've brought me around the world. You've eradicated fear from me. I can travel anywhere and put myself into almost any predicament and come out unscathed. You have guided me every step of the way. Yet I demand of you, stars, where is my love? And the stars, that small, still voice, says to me, 42. What? The answer to the life, universe, and everything? That's what you give me? Small, still voice says, 42. All right, all right. Well, just so happens that 42 days after that was the eclipse. I had just moved to Fairfield. I had been here for 1 week. Now, people will tell you, oh, don't look into the sun. Definitely don't look into the eclipse. You'll go blind. Well, people say whatever they want, and I've long ago learned I'd rather listen to voices no one else hear and trust that than hearsay. But there is scientific evidence that say don't look into it. So let me continue. This is the day I chose to go blind, remember. So, fresh to Fairfield, walking around, I'm carrying 2 small drums strapped over my shoulder, walking through the streets staring at the eclipse. People must have thought some blue-haired freak moved to town, but that was me, and I was very excited to be here. Every chance I got, the little Holy Spirit, that voice would say, look. And I would see the full spectrum of the sun, because the sun is the source of all of us. I mean, within reason, please. It is the photosynthesis in the plants we eat, and it is the source of all full spectrum color. Why do we eat carrots? For beta carotene. That's orange, that's one ray of color. But the point I'm trying to make is I chose to look into the sun that day, and it did affect my vision for a few weeks. I couldn't see electronics anymore. I would look at computers and I could not see, but in putting away the electronics, I learned to see something else, because 42 days later, someone showed up into my life, and I fell in love, and that small, still voice promised love would come to me, and I've spent every day with him since then. And so, while I didn't fully lose my eyesight, the day I chose to go blind is a huge message, and that I would sacrifice my eyesight for the sake of following after something I believe in with all my heart. If it means going to the South Pacific and not knowing why other than something told me I would and then therein proved I could, I will do that. And I thank you now, all of you, that I can see all of you and that we're all here together. Thank you.
Woo-hoo! Thank you, Miranda. That was an icebreaker? Wow. Mr. Timer again. Back. Now, Mr. Timer, can you tell us which of our two speakers qualified? Don't need their times, just which qualified.
Mr. Toastmaster, our first speaker, Ryan Prana-Miller, did not qualify. And Miranda did qualify.
Okay, Miranda qualified. All right, thank you. And so we will not need to vote for the best speaker. So we will now move on to the evaluation portion of our meeting, and I'd like to call up our general evaluator to conduct that, Mr. Art Atkinson.
So please help me welcome Ren Prana-Miller's evaluator, Louis Denbaum.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. Club members, guests, viewers at home, and especially Prana. First of all, I would like to say to Prana that I was away for the club for about a year, maybe a year and 3 or 4 months. Coming back, I see incredible improvement in your speaking abilities. This speech had a lot of fluidity. You didn't rely upon notes and your cell phone, which a year and a half ago you were still doing that. So it was fantastic in that regard. Really liked that improvement. You started out with a famous quote, engaged us, and you talked about your journey from Pennsylvania to MUM. You had humor. I really liked when you described making $800 in 4 minutes or a half an hour, 30 minutes, and then saying, yeah, I want to do this. All right. I thought that was great use of humor. And then you engaged us by asking a question. How many of you have skills that you want to apply to use in the community to better the community? You got us to all raise our hands. Everyone can relate to that question. You also gave us a vision of Warren Buffett, the entrepreneur philanthropist. And again, you related to us. You pulled at our heartstrings. Like, yeah, who wouldn't want to do that? Make a lot of money and give a lot of money. I'm sorry, this was not Warren Buffett. This was the 5-hour energy drink person. So those were the things that I really liked that you did. You did them well, and they were in keeping with the topic, persuading us to do something. I do have some suggestions. First, I'm not sure where the stock tip for the solar company actually fits in. It seemed tangential and not relevant. Okay, so I'd kind of leave that out next time. The other thing is, you were giving a speech that you titled Invest in Yourself. I would have liked to have seen more things that directly told me or the audience, how do I invest in myself? You had the why, okay, but you didn't really have enough of the how from my perspective. How do I invest in myself? Take workshops would be one. Join Toastmasters. Perfect opportunity for our viewing audience and our guests. How do you invest in yourself? You join Toastmasters, leadership and communication. And let's see. The other thing, you mentioned mentors. So that's another thing that I would suggest to the group. Find a mentor. Find somebody who's doing what you want to do and work for them for a while. Overall, good speech, great improvement, and I look forward to your next speech.
Next, let's invite Leslie Hollis to come give us an evaluation of Miranda's talk.
So Miranda's talk, the day I chose to go blind, was wonderful. It was so wonderful. What strong points did the speaker already have? So you have a very strong theatrical sense, and you are able to entertain with humor, but also maintain a heartfelt sincerity, which is fantastic. How well did the audience get to know the speaker? I think it appeared to me that the audience was getting to know you well, and you told a wonderful story, which also imparted who you are as a person, what things are important to you, spirituality, opening your heart, being willing to take a leap, which was great, and inspiring. The speech, did it reflect adequate preparation? I believe it did. And if you didn't rehearse it, then kudos. And I believe you may not have needed to, because you really, that is coming from your heart. So it was very well prepared, very good use of verbalizing visuals, staring into the sun. We could all relate to that. That just recently happened. Some of us, may have done that as well and briefly lost our vision. I like the miming the blindness to electronics, which in another way kind of talked again about the point of, the electronics were kind of superficial, and what you were looking for was something in your heart. Did the speaker talk clearly and audibly? Yes. Very good vocal variety and changes in your voice to give emphasis was great. Did the speech have a definite opening, body, and conclusion? Yes, it was very well organized. And I think for all of us, it was pretty easy to follow the story. Please, let's see, comment on the speaker's use of notes, no notes. So, excellent job. And what could she have done differently? I really can't think of anything at the moment. Maybe more gestures, because those added to the visuals were hilarious. Like you fell asleep in the plane and you're like, and it helped us be there with you. And what did you like about the presentation? It was well organized. It was very heartfelt. And I think everyone picked that up, and it was a wonderful speech.
Thank you, Leslie. Now I'd like to invite our table topics master, Dennis, to come and lead the table topics portion of the meeting.
Thank you, Art. Next up will be table topics. You can barely pronounce it. We have quite a few Thanksgiving related table topics. I know all of us as human beings enjoy food. It's a basic pleasure. So I hope you guys will have something to talk about. Who wants to go first? Don. Pick a number 1 through 5.
6.
3.
In the United States, we tend to think of Thanksgiving as a uniquely American holiday. I don't know if it is or not. Give us your perspective.
All right. Mr. Gomez and Toastmasters, guests, people out there in television land. Do we have any Native Americans in the room here?
1/8.
1/8?
1/32.
32nd? A little, and something, okay. Well, we all know that the Native Americans helped the Pilgrims profoundly when they first arrived here. I think that became kind of the basis for our Thanksgiving in later years. Is Thanksgiving a part of other cultures? I can't imagine that it isn't. I know you're from another culture. I suspect there must be a way that your culture has of giving gratitude to each other or to a spiritual source, whatever. I suspect that the same is true worldwide. There may not be a formal holiday, but I suspect it's something that's just comes out of the spirit of the person. And therefore, Thanksgiving is a common worldwide tradition.
Thank you, John. Who's up next? I see a lot of pointing around the room right now. Daifa. 1, 2, 4, 5. 4. Let's see. A new poll shows most people don't want to discuss politics at their Thanksgiving gatherings. But those who do tend to be supporters of certain politicians. If you're attending Thanksgiving gathering, how would you approach a political discussion?
First thing, in our countries, almost in all East countries, we do not discuss political topics in general. Only we discuss with our friends, close friends, and usually your mother say, shh, do not speak with these topics here. But I was raised in a family, my father liked the all politic topics. So we used to discuss political topics in every other topic. So when we talk about religion, when we talk about social, about community, about education, we used to discuss political part, since the government manages our life, so we have to discuss the government. But I never joined a Thanksgiving gathering, so I never discussed political topics in Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Thanks, Daifa. Who's up next? Jeff.
I'll take number 1.
1. What are you most grateful for this Thanksgiving week?
That's the easy answer, though. We're trying to get a little bit deeper. Is that what you want? Is that what you want to talk about? Talk about that, I go over time. Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master, for that very thoughtful question. Fellow Toastmasters, it's great to see so many lovely people in the audience tonight. Everyone having a great time? Yeah. It's always great staring at a great audience, because I know you're just a reflection of me. So, it really was a great question. What am I most thankful for this Thanksgiving? And there's just so many answers, because I believe gratitude's a daily practice, where if you want a healthy existence, you should constantly be finding things that you appreciate, and it might help to make a note of those things. And as Oprah Winfrey says, maybe we'll get more of those things. So one thing I'm really thankful for is just the beauty of the natural universe, and specifically that's manifested in my life through a wiener dog. His name is Pickles, but you guys haven't met him yet, so it'll be Mr. Pickles to you. But he's been a wonderful companion to me, and it sounds silly, okay, it's a dog, but we have a long tradition of wiener dogs in the family, so it's something the family can come together to celebrate. And when you have just that undeniable cuteness, I don't know how else to describe it, it really is heartwarming. And so it was just, again, it really reaffirms my belief in myself that I can have the things in my life that I want, that I can see something I like that I can appreciate, and through a generous application of gratitude, the universe is going to somehow organize itself and bring that into my life. And that is how I experienced this wiener dog coming to being, and it's a great story. And again, I could talk for hours about this dog. He's the third fastest dog in town for wiener dogs, but he's actually the fastest. But anyway, that's a whole long story. There will be another wiener dog race next week. Long story short, he's going to be a champion. He's going to be my champion, and I'm very thankful for him. But I'm also thankful for each and every one of you, my family. Fresh air, clean water, healthy food, those are very important things as well. Perhaps maybe as important as wiener dogs. So thank you very much for the question. I appreciate you all.
Thanks, Jeff. We got. If this was a dog-friendly environment, we'd ask you to bring Pickles next time. Who's up next? I'm gonna have to create a little more questions on the fly.
I'll go.
Yep. All right. Mindy.
All right.
We have 2, 5, and 6.
2.
2. Please tell us about a time that something happened which at the time seemed like a misfortune, but in retrospect turned out to be a blessing.
Oh boy. Okay. What?
You have 30 seconds if you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me think about it. Don't know how deep I want to go with this. Okay. Coming here. No. Just kidding. Okay, and I have 2 minutes to talk. Okay.
Between 1 and 2 minutes, and you can go over a little bit.
Okay. All right. Here we go. This is the first thing that came to my mind. So, hello, club members, guests, and TV land. I'll talk about a time that was kind of it was a crappy situation, but I got fired from a job 2 months into it. I earned my badge. It was kind of a rite of passage. I was fired the nicest way possible, honestly. I just wasn't a good fit, and they gave me a severance package, and that was nice, but it was still, not anything fancy. It was like, that was cute of you to try, but just move on out. So it was really painful because I'd always thought, if I get fired from a job, that must really mean that I'm this really horrible employee. I'm not employable. I've got all these issues. And so it took me a really embarrassingly long time to get over that. But at the end of the day, I knew that that wasn't the right job, and I was lured by a sexy retirement plan. And that was like one of the big reasons why I took this job. But it was really not in my it was really not anything that I was really interested in doing. I was just like, wow, that's a really nice retirement plan they got there, so let's do this. And it was not a good fit, and I would have never chosen to do that anyway, so it just really was a blessing and helped me steer toward what my strengths were, and realizing that there's life after getting fired, and shit happens. And you get over it and you move on. So it just makes you learn to move on and do what you're here to do and not get distracted.
That's a great great example of turning a situation someone view and feel down about it, but that's a great way to really pick yourself up and make the best out of it. It's good. We have more time. We got plenty of time. Orlando. We got 5 and 6
Whatever.
and 7 now.
It's 5.
Okay. Tell us about your favorite holiday meal. What makes it special to you?
Good evening, Toastmasters, viewers at home and guests. My favorite meal. I think that every time that I'm invited here, somebody asks me to talk about food. It's embarrassing. My favorite meal, well, it's related with Thanksgiving. I love turkey because it brings me back into my childhood when I was, we celebrate Christmas with turkey at home. And I just remember all my family together, everybody having fun, opening gifts, and all that situation related with Christmas. Turkey is good, not in excess, but yeah. And I remember when I was a child preparing these sandwiches full of gravy and everything. It was sensational. But since I came here, Thanksgiving meals, I think the cornbread is good. And what else do we have? Cranberry and cranberry sauce. And
Pumpkin pie.
Sweet potatoes.
sweet potatoes, yeah, that's good. Sometimes, like 2 years ago, we prepared sweet potatoes with marshmallows on top and things like that. It was kind of crazy, but we love it at the end. And as some of you know, I love eating, so yes, food for me is fabulous. Thanks for...
Good. That's the way to get you back every time. We just talk about food and figure, hey, Orlando's coming back. Got some time for some more?
I'll go up. Should be a
They're
question.
choosing you.
I will take
There'll
the
be
choice.
some in front. 7, 8, 9.
6, 7, 8, 9. Hearing a 7 from the audience here. Go with the 7.
7. Lucky number 7.
Yeah.
What of everything? What do you look forward to the most this Thanksgiving weekend?
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Dennis. Ladies and gentlemen, Toastmasters, guests, viewers at home, or TV land, I like the new address. This weekend is Thanksgiving. It starts Thursday. It's a 4-day weekend. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday for America. And I work all the time. So basically, if someone needs a moving job, I will be working on Thanksgiving or the day after or the day after. But I really look forward to spending time with my family, who I haven't seen closely for a while. It'd be nice to reconnect and have some green bean casserole, honestly. That'd be that's the highlight of this weekend. Again, food, right? The topic of food, it brings us all together. I look forward to not talking about politics. I look at the question earlier, yes, I'm a very taciturn individual. I'm reserved. I look forward to not speaking. I look forward to having a taciturn weekend. That'd be great. It's not going to happen, but it'll be nice. I look forward to it. You got to hope for the best and expect the best. So this weekend, I hope for a lot of communal bringing each other together and working together and not just shirking our responsibilities. I think everybody has to do the dishes. Everybody has to take part in doing the dishes and cooking. And I expect that it'll be a great end of 2017 and looking forward to the next year, which has ultimate potential, and all of our highest bliss could be achieved next year. Thank you.
Got time for 2 or 3 more? Art? Six, 8, and 9.
6.
Some say certain foods are very comforting to them. What is comfort food to you?
Okay, Toastmasters. How many of you have a comfort food? Don't have to say what it is. I get to tell you about what mine is. Mine aren't all that extraordinary, but we're going to get several of them on Thursday. Pumpkin pie is a comfort food. And there are lots of different recipes of pumpkin pie, and for the most part I like them all. Turkey stuffing is absolutely comfort food. And one of the finest turkey stuffings I ever got introduced to was one that my mom's French exchange student taught to her and that she started doing for years. And that was, you take some fresh sourdough French bread and you slice it into cubes about 1.5 inches on an edge, and you butter that sourdough and you stuff all this sourdough into the cavity of the bird and you bake the bird. And then you forget about the bird and you eat this incredible stuffing. Turkey drippings are a comfort food. The right kind of cranberry sauce, not out of a can, but cranberry sauce that's made with a little bit of ginger, a little bit of apple cider vinegar, have a recipe for such a cranberry sauce. It's absolutely comfort food. I could exist on that alone. What I'm most thankful for about Thanksgiving is the opportunity to pig out and to not be the only one doing so. To be in the company of all of us being gluttonous at least one time a year and doing so with mutual approval. Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thanks, Art. We are all in mutual approval of the idea to feast. Who's up? Emery. We have 8 and 9 left.
Let's go to the last.
Last. As we all know, Thanksgiving is a holiday where we do eat tons and tons of food and mutually agree to do so. When given the opportunity at a feast, are you the type of person who stuffs themselves really, really quickly at once, or do you prefer to space out the tryptophanic haze?
Thank you. Fellow Toastmasters, guests, and viewers at home, as Art was talking about comfort food, what I was thinking about was all of the Thanksgiving when I have eaten to the point of discomfort. And I have learned over time to stop and not get stuffed and miserable. But for years, I was that first example of taking plenty of every dish on the table, the ham, the turkey, my mother's rolls especially, they're heavenly. And you think, who was it that was talking about sweet potatoes with marshmallows? Yeah. That probably does seem weird coming from a different culture, but that's just ordinary Ozark food where I come from. And you fill up on all of that stuff, and then there's the dessert table of lemon meringue pies, pumpkin pies, apple pies, peach pies, and on and on. So, but I have learned not to make myself miserable, that I don't have to eat it all at once, that there will be plenty. And so I have moved over time from a piggish eater to a slow, careful eater. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
We have time for one more. We can squeeze in.
Ask yourself.
For one nomination. Oh yeah. Will Burns.
Will Burns.
Right. A cornucopia is a common symbol of abundance in Thanksgiving. What in life does abundance mean to you?
Cornucopia is an amazing symbol because whatever is inside of it, it's filled most with our own projections of that and our own desires for what we want. To me, abundance is that feeling of never feeling fear. The fear that I don't have enough. The fear that I don't deserve enough. Abundance is being liberated. This can take many, many forms. Earlier we had a speaker that spoke about financial abundance, about how that could bring both happiness into, for ourselves, but also for the world. We heard plenty of stories here tonight of the abundance of food and the abundance of good company to share that feasting with. So to me, abundance, true abundance, really is such a personal thing. It depends on us. You could throw out a number of the total amount of money that I would earn in my life. And that number could seem like a big number to me, it could seem like a terribly small number to you. Or vice versa. You could say, you're selling yourself short. You'll live in a shack. You'll have to live by the beach because that's the only time you'll ever get a good view. You'll just be having to hobble to kind of look out and see the ocean. The truth is that any meal can be a feast, and any amount of money can be a fortune, largely about our own perspective. But I urge you to look at yourselves during this time of the year, think about what abundance means to you, and move towards that realization. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Will. That concludes our table topic session for the evening. Mr. Timer, would you list who qualified?
Mr. Table Topics Master, and first of all, I have a question. If a speech is a 1 to 2 minute speech,
Yep.
what is the allowable overtime? Is it 30
2.5.
seconds?
Yeah.
2.5, okay.
30.
By that measurement, Mr. Table Topics Master, everyone qualifies.
Fantastic. Please repeat their names. Would you repeat their names?
Sure, I'll read the names and the times. John, 1 minute 23 seconds. Hudaifa, 1 minute 30 seconds. Jeff, 2 minutes on the dot. Mindy, 2 minutes and 1 second. Orlando, 1 minute 52 seconds. Art was the one, you were the one person where your timer got sucked into your story and didn't turn the lights on time. So if you were wondering why
All right.
it went suddenly to yellow without going through green, that was the reason. But you're still within time at 2 minutes and 16 seconds. Emery, 1 minute 44 seconds. And Will at 2 minutes and 7 seconds.
Great. Thanks, Peter. Thank you all for your participation. Now we would like you guys to vote on the best table topic speaker. Peter, would you repeat the list just for just the names?
Sure.
So, because we had quite a few today.
All right. First was John, then Hudaifa. Jeff was third. Indy was fourth. Orlando was fifth. Art was sixth. Emery was seventh. And Will was eighth.
Now is the time to have our evaluator of table topics. Will? Oh. You got enough? Or do you want somebody to split it with you? Because we did have 9. It's quite a few.
Is there anybody else that took notes on this?
I'd be lying if I said myself. That's all I'll say.
Let's decide how much time we're giving you, because usually we give an extra 30
Yeah.
seconds per person over 5.
Do like 5? 6?
Let's take 5.
5, okay.
5 minutes.
Thanks, Will.
5 minutes.
Yeah, very good.
3, 4, 5.
This is the second most nervous I've ever been. First was at the division evaluation contest. Now there's this, because actually I wasn't aware I was supposed to evaluate table topics. So I'm gonna have to kind of go on here. It's gonna be kind of table topics evaluation here. This is not ideal. I don't recommend this. This actually shows poor preparation on my part. As I recall, the first table topic speaker was John. Now, John has always got a real, thank you, a real dynamic aspect to him. He's got a great voice, and he always uses it quite well. I felt like he did a great job of taking this question of, is Thanksgiving universal? And turning it into a question that, well, the celebration may be American, but every culture, every people has their own expression of Thanksgiving. For Hudaifa, I thought you did a very good job of navigating a challenging question, because you're generally, politics is always a sensitive topic anyway, particularly around this time of year, and that was a heck of a question. But you didn't segue. You had the ability to segue, and you chose to continue. And actually spoke a little bit about your own experience growing up, and about how politics was something that was very important to your father, and that ended up being spun into some of the other topics, and that ended up working out. My suggestion would be, if you wanted to take 30 seconds and just think about how you address that, but I think you actually did a fine job doing that. So. Jeff, this actually was a much improved table topics for you. You tend to kind of go off on these tangents. You actually usually run over time, but apparently your absence from Toastmasters actually helped you here with the topics, because it allowed you to come out here, see what you want to say. Talk about a topic that you adore, that you love talking about, and actually keep it within time. Yeah, my only suggestion, well, I'm not going to do any suggestions because, again, I'm, okay. Mindy, I actually have a suggestion for you, I noticed, but great job coming out here, talking about a very personal, a very emotional sort of topic. I mean, these are actually the best topics to talk about because they're the ones that create the biggest bridge between you and us as the audience. We can all relate. I can remember every time that I've ever been fired, distinctly. That day was like.
How many have there been, Will?
Thankfully, I can count them all on one hand, but it definitely sticks with you. And so when you're talking about your experience, I thought about my own. But my suggestion is just, and this is, again, a small point, feel free to, you did a very good job. You do a great job, just a little more detail about the experience, about carrying out your stuff or something. But again, it's a hard topic, so I understand. I mean, I don't want to go into detail. Orlando, you spoke about food, about your favorite foods, and I actually was impressed. There's things I'd never heard of before, and I'm in charge of kind of planning our Thanksgiving this year. I wish I'd known about this potato and marshmallows thing. That sounds like a pretty fun thing to try. But again, I think, yeah, that was a good one. Art, I really enjoyed how you obviously got a question that you liked. You were obviously ready to go. You were like talking about food. I'm happy to go here, and you went off and did it. I thought it was a very good job of kind of bringing them together. And that's my report.
At this point, we would like Peter, Mr. Timer, to tell us which evaluators qualified.
Mr. Toastmaster, all evaluators qualified.
That would be Lewis, Leslie,
Yes, the evaluators are Lewis, Leslie,
and Will.
Please take the time to vote for these candidates.
I'm going to call now for reports from the role players, beginning with our timer. Peter, would you give us the times that you haven't yet given us for the speakers tonight?
I think I have given all the times.
Have you given us all the times?
Oh, you want, each speaker would like their times? Okay, I understand. For the formal speakers or the table talks also? I did the table talk already, so I guess we're left with Ryan Cronamiller, 8 minutes and 34 seconds. So that would be 4 seconds over. Miranda, 5 minutes, 32 seconds into a 6-minute speech. So you qualified. Liz Enbaum as an evaluator, 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Liz into a 3-minute speech. So that's just under the wire. And Leslie, 2 minutes, 19 seconds. Will, 4 minutes, 32 seconds into a 5-minute speech. And I believe that's everyone's time.
Okay, thank you very much. Will, are you in a position to give us your grammarians report? Let's have a hand for Will, who's doing at least 2 hours. The 3-roll evening for you, sir.
Wow, let's be honest here, it was about 2.5 at best. But thank you, sir. For the word of the day, I heard Prana use it twice and Emery use it once. So my hat's off to both of you. It certainly was, taciturn is certainly not something that we usually associate with Toastmasters, as I said before. And it wasn't the case tonight, with many wonderful cases of the English language being used. Prana, I love how you said, I bought a pickup truck. It was the best investment I ever made. So that was a nice way to kind of bring in the earlier investment into that part. Miranda, Samoa. At 20, I couldn't find it on a map. All I knew about it was Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Girl Scout cookies. That was a sort of great parallel. It kind of helped me to go, oh yeah, I know a little bit about Samoa now. That's kind of it, a little bit. And then Mindy, I got fired and it sucked. But I was fired in the nicest way possible. That was I don't know, it just, emotionally it kind of did a nice sort of thing for me, I thought. I didn't feel so bad afterward. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Will. Now, Gaditha, if you'll give us your All-Counters report.
Yes. I have a report for all repeated or filler words. Emery has 3 1 so. Peter has 1 even without your speech. Lewis has 1 1 and. Prana?
Yeah.
Many many so. 6 and 2 tongue clicks and 3 zeros. Miranda, clear. Leslie, dozen of 2 so, 2 zeros. John, clear. Myself has 2 1 and, 2 0 and 1 false start. Jeff has 2 only. Mandy has 2 1 1 so. Orlando 5 and 4 and 1 and 1 zeros. Art clear. Will has 2 1 and 1 zero. Thank you.
Now for the long-awaited moment. The joke master will speak.
All right. Why was the fungi not invited to Thanksgiving dinner? There wasn't much room. All right. I could just end it at that, but there's 4 more. There was a soup, right? It had 24 carrots in it. I don't know. It's 24 carrot soup. All right. That was bad delivery. Pilgrims, right? Pilgrims are the theme of Thanksgiving. Everybody loves pilgrims. If April showers bring Mayflowers. Now, April showers bring Mayflowers. What do Mayflowers bring? Pilgrims. There we go. That was the answer. Okay. And lastly, yeah, one more. Okay. This is the last one. Why did the turkey concede in the fight? You know, there was a fight between 2 turkeys. Why did he concede? He got the stuffing knocked out of him. Ouch. Ouch. Okay.
Now for some brief observations. The evaluators this evening gave us a good example of combining an evaluation that involves some praise, some criticism, and some concrete suggestions about what could be done differently. Will had a tough assignment in that he wasn't adequately notified and prepared, and he had enough other roles. So I'm going to let him off the hook easily. Lewis praised what was praiseworthy in Prana's talk. He had the unique perspective of being able to compare it with the way Prana spoke a year and a half ago, which was a very useful comparison. It was a reminder of just how far Prana has come. And he had two concrete suggestions. One was to drop the semi-irrelevant stock trip, and to talk more about how to invest in oneself. He thought that Prana had adequately addressed the question of why to invest in yourself. Leslie and Lewis didn't have particular manual objectives that he referred to, but he was referring to a manual. Leslie, on the other hand, had a very clear set of questions to address about how Miranda executed her icebreaker. She praised the fact that Miranda didn't use notes, that she was well organized, and that she did a good job of actually introducing herself to us in the deepest sense. And she had a concrete suggestion. The only thing that I could find maybe for room for improvement, or what you could have done, you could have suggested to Miranda that based on the spectacular comfort and fluency with which she speaks, she could have come out from behind the lectern and just spoken from up here, because she's clearly ready to do so and has done so before. So aside from missing that, great evaluation, and that is now my chance to turn the lectern back over to our Toastmaster of the evening, Emery.
Thank you, Art. And it's now my privilege to present the meeting awards. So we have, there's no particular suspense about this one, our best speaker and our icebreaker award to Miranda. Woo! Now we can do a drum roll for our best evaluator, Leslie. And another drum roll, please. Best table topic. Three-way tie. Will, Art, and John. Who has scissors will cut the ribbon.
We can duke it out up here in front of me.
Sure.
The team, right?
Deciding factor.
Woohoo! Okay. They're not willing to come forward for a 1/3 of an award.
We're kind of shy.
Yeah. Okay. Will's been up here so much that he just can't make the trip again. I would now like to turn the meeting back over to our president, Dennis Gomez. Are you going to tell us about this thing?
Yeah.
All right.
First of all, well done to our club. You guys throughout last year have got this President's Distinguished Club Award right here. Well done. well done to all of our members and all of our officers from last year. Very well done. This came in the mail randomly this week to me. So I'm standing up here getting some credit right here for other people's work. In reality, it's all of your work. So thank you everybody who has made that a success. Guests, it's great to have you guys here. Guests, and it sounds like previous members in the past also. Please tell us your thoughts on the meeting.
Very uplifting, empowering, inspiring, dynamic, and I forgot the other adjective.
Nice.
None of the speakers were taciturn.
Nice.
Oh,
I like it.
well done.
Used it.
I was gonna do that.
It's good. Yeah.
I enjoyed hearing about all the food everyone's gonna eat on Thursday.
It's always good.
Mindy told us last week that the table topics look like the most terrifying thing in the world, and she got up here and did it. I think
Yeah.
she deserves a hand.
Yeah. Well done. Thank you.
The meeting fulfilled my expectations. Thank you all.
Thanks everybody for your participation. It's been a good time. It's not too hard to talk about turkey and Thanksgiving and all the good stuff. Before I become taciturn on Thursday evening with all the carbohydrates that I consume, I would like to point out a few more things really quick. That's my last lame attempt to use the word right there. Be sure that all who have played a role as a role player in this meeting fill out your leadership form. Any other business from anybody else in general?
Anybody who wants speaking slots, see me.
Okay? Great. Anybody else? On that note,